Greetings. I'd like to read a little bit to you today from my book, World Peace Seeds, Planting and Growing Personal Destiny. We'll start at Chapter 1. It is titled Anatomy of the Seed. When science examines the physical structure and dissects the components of a seed, we have a very literal and three-dimensional view of a life form capable of producing progeny. As a comprehensive study of the natural sciences ensues, we find that the seed indeed carries within its molecular makeup the prerequisite for continuance of its species. This work does not exhaustively narrate the highly technical scientific disciplines, but rather it blends philosophical ideas allegorically depicting the life cycle of a sunflower seed, while drawing comparisons to the law of cause and effect. As mankind has observed through the millennia of his existence upon the planet, the sowing and cultivation of seed has rewarded him with the harvests he sought. Regardless of the seed, humanity has witnessed this cycle replay in perfect harmony with the environment where it was planted. Through trial and error, man continuously learned the great laws of nature, attentive to the requirements of any particular seed to ensure the desired results. When, for example, he planted wheat or corn, it did not have the good fortune of seasonal rains for irrigation. He learned the value of water containment. Likewise, the seasons allowed for the harvest of his crops, assuming the weather conditions were favorable. He also learned the differences in soils and how each plant had its own preference. As man eagerly watched over his fields, he often felt helpless as the diseases and natural enemies overtook his defenseless plant. Slowly, ever so slowly, through time and observation, followed by exacting application, the mysteries were solved. Man, then better informed, with his increasing knowledge, cultivated his fields. His bounty multiplied. He learned how to weed his fields, allowing more moisture to be utilized by his crop. He also learned how to thin and prune for significantly higher harvests. He learned all this through trial and error, while always observing the natural order of his surroundings. Man of yesteryear had learned how to distinguish the good and bad seeds, to sow, cultivate, and harvest his crops, and to preserve the harvest seeds for the coming season. Indeed, his understanding of planting and growing were firmly established. You and I reap the benefit of his lessons. In addition to farming, man observed the propagation of the animal kingdom as well. Practicing animal husbandry provided him with continued supply for more of his needs. And so it goes in the literal understanding of the seed and the harvest. But the seed is so much more than the literal three-dimensional object classified by natural science. The seed takes on many forms. In just the mental realm, we may watch as seed thoughts form in our minds, most likely countless myriads of them, each offering us a different reality. Think back to any event. This morning, for instance, I awoke and lay in bed preparing for the course of my day. Arising, I washed my face and hands and worked my way over to the morning coffee pot. Although this seems to be, on the surface, an automatic ritual, which in many cases it may well be, it is additionally a seed thought. I made a mental picture of getting up and heading over to the coffee pot. Then I followed the mental picture with the physical action of doing that. We may see how these countless automatic seed thoughts are part of our everyday activities. I see now that every action and event in our lives is, in fact, the sowing of seed thoughts and the growing of these seeds or thoughts to harvest. To illustrate, let me tell you about a recent trip I planned last year to Santa Fe, New Mexico. This vacation into the land of enchantment required several hours of preparation. As I chose a route to travel, selected accommodations, considered the many attractions, and thought about the appropriate attire, I was, in fact, in the process of planting several seeds. These seeds, if cultivated properly, would bring me the desired results. So it is with each undertaking we entertain, that we are forming, then planting the seeds or causes to set into motion the results we desire. I could have chosen several routes to reach my destination, railway, automobile, or jet, and even within these choices there were many sub-choices. I think you may get the picture. Our choices within any given situation are often nearly without limits, each offering us a different experience along the way. For this trip, I chose to drive my vehicle, pulling my camper along behind. By making this choice, I was in essence limiting my selections for accommodations. Although I could have easily pulled into any hotel or resort parking lot and checked into that facility for the evening, I chose to stay in RV campgrounds along the way. This choice further limited my experiences. If I wanted to stay in the first campground I came upon around 5 p.m., that would provide me with one experience. If I chose to drive a little further, my experience would again be different. And it follows with all choices we make that we bring into manifestation any thoughts we choose, and those thoughts can take form in actions. Once I arrived in Santa Fe, there were many activities to choose from. There were the many nearby pueblos, each with their unique and fascinating histories. There were also a multitude of art galleries covering any medium you could imagine. Additionally, there was the oldest government building in the United States, housing a museum, which to my delight focused on early printing presses. With the Rio Grande River passing nearby and the geological interest plentiful, you can get a glimpse into the tremendous amount of choices that presented themselves for exploration. So within the short span of time that made up this trip, my choices were vast, and each one I made gave me a specific reality that I wanted to experience. Likewise, every aspect of this journey provided me with the opportunity to explore not only the process of making choices, but also to create an itinerary that covered the points of interest that appealed to me. In our lives, every choice we make appeals to our senses, our intellect, our emotions, or our physical cravings. What I discovered is that we have the ability to temper any choice we make, infuse it with active intelligence, and bring into our conscious everyday life events that will inspire and propel us, expanding our awareness. The trip was very enjoyable. I was able to have rich experiences touching the past and visiting the future, while ever present in the eternal now. When we visit culturally diverse settings, our capacity to evolve mentally and spiritually is activated. We grow. We become a new person who is a little larger in scope and in appreciation, if that is our choice. For me, the vacation opened new interior doorways. As I climbed in and out of model kivas, I climbed in and out of time. And that, my friend, was a very enlightening exercise.